We've definitely talked a lot about the negative impact on your physical health that chronic dieting, restriction can have. We have definitely addressed this quite a bit, and I won't stop talking about it. However, have you thought about the impact focusing on your weight, dieting, restricting has had on your mental health? Let's talk about it here today. Welcome to the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer D'Amato. I am an intuitive eating counselor and I'm also a mom to four. This podcast is not just for mamas, it's for all women who are ready to ditch diets, ditch the scale and food guilt forever, and instead invite peace with food, increase their body trust, and confidence in all of her choices. I believe this show is going to shed some light on sneaky ways diet culture has infiltrated your thoughts, your family, and your well-being. No matter the episode, I want you to walk away feeling informed, inspired, and encouraged. So whether you're taking a walk, washing the dishes, or carting kids around, let's dive into the latest episode on the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast. You may already know this little fun fact about me that my major in college was psychology. I actually had intended to go get my master's, just go into counseling, probably like couples, family counseling, but we moved from Michigan to Arizona. Life took a very different turn. I ended up becoming a social worker. It was a terrible job. But it did lead to some other wonderful things. I say all of this to let you know that I've always wanted, first of all, to help people. I knew that was my calling. Secondly, I have always felt our mental health is important, just as important as any other aspect of our health. And I would even say mental health, I would put emotional health right alongside of it. I feel like they're sisters. But these are things that I highly, highly value. Have you thought about the toll that chronic dieting, that focusing on your weight has on your mental health? Something maybe not discussed enough. We're just starting to hear about it, talk about it more, and really almost normalize acknowledging this, that the pursuit of weight loss, always focusing on, I have to be in a smaller body, I need to lose weight, can contribute to anxiety. We talked about this last week on the episode about stress, being so stressed about what you eat, when you eat, how much you're eating. Think about the amount of anxiety you can have when you go out to eat. When you eat something you think, I shouldn't have that. There's so many rules around this food. I had this high sugar or high fat, and then you have all this anxiety about what you've eaten. The pursuit of weight loss, focusing on your weight, can increase anxiety. You might not even know this, or maybe you've experienced it, but it can also increase depression. I didn't even realize how much this one right here was me. And part of it comes from it was never enough. No matter how much I lost, no matter how quote unquote good I was being, I felt like something's wrong with me. I can't do this. Anytime I quote unquote cheated, the depression part, I could feel that trigger. And then on top of it, when I quit, when I finally was done, it affected me deeply. We might not acknowledge that disordered eating is part of struggling with your mental health. Because I always say this, disordered eating comes from disordered thinking, right? We think these negative thoughts about our body. We believe these negative thoughts about our body. So, of course, our eating patterns, our eating behavior is what's affected because of that. Sometimes we just get so focused on the eating part, the disordered eating, but where does disordered eating come from its disordered thinking. The pursuit of weight loss, the focus on your weight, can contribute to things like anxiety, depression, disordered eating. And for some, it can cross the line from disordered eating into an eating disorder. I even think about how often we think about food when we're focused on our weight, when we're focused on weight loss, the size of our body, the size of our jeans, how much do you think about food? Like literally, like the amount of brain space that's being taken up by food, what you're eating, how much you're eating, all of the things, right? The stress we talked about in last week's episode. This is something I repeatedly hear from my clients. Jen, I don't think about food as much. Like they even can't believe how much they were thinking about food when they're not thinking about food. Now, some of them notice like right at the beginning of working together, and you'll notice this if you are in this fall's intuitive health reboot. You might notice, well, I'm thinking about food a lot right now because I'm focused on reconnecting with my body. I'm focused on relearning what my body needs, the signals it tells me. So I have this focus, but the shift is noticeable. It's not the stress of the food, it's reconnecting, relearning, trusting yourself. So I hear from my clients, I'm thinking about these things. I am focused on my body, like what's going on with it and rebuilding that trust, reconnecting. But I notice like I don't think about food all day long. Sometimes we don't even notice how much we're doing that until we're not. So even that, like the consuming thoughts about food, because we're focused on our weight, we're focused on weight loss, are having an impact on your mental health. I always think about like if you just pictured the brain, like we can all maybe have that little cartoon image or, whatever, just a brain. And how much of that brain thinks about food, your weight loss, your body size, all of that. Like just picture the section you think is taken up. Is it half? At least a quarter? Is it the whole thing? Like what did you picture? Now I want you to take that same picture of what you saw, like how much of your brain space was taken up. Now remove it. Like change the color. Maybe it was like black and white, or maybe that area is red, or you just saw how big that space was. And now give it back to the rest of your brain, that it's no longer taking up that space. Now, here's the fun part. What would you put in there? All the time, the energy, the thoughts that are given to food, to thinking about food, to focusing on your weight, to focusing on weight loss. What would you insert? Like, is there a hobby? Is there something you've been wanting to do? Is there just relaxation and chilling out? I had a client share with me how she was able to deal with clutter. And we talk about clutter for sure in the intuitive health reboot, because all of a sudden you're like, if I can remove this clutter from my brain, I want to remove clutter from freaking everywhere in my life. I no longer want clutter. I love that. I love it. I am such an get rid of the clutter. I don't like clutter. I don't like it in my brain and I don't like it in my space. And it's amazing when you have that brain space back, what you are able to do, think about, focus on. Oh, I talk about the benefits of doing the work of intuitive eating in the intuitive health reboot. And of course, it's going to be about your relationship with food. But when I tell you it extends beyond that, I really mean it. It extends to your mental health, your emotional well-being, but it can also extend to the clutter in your house, the hobby you've been wanting to do, the fun things, the relaxation, the increased self-care, like all of these other areas. Some you may not even acknowledge yet because your brain space has been taken up with thinking about your weight, about food, about weight loss, about the next diet, like all of that consuming you. So when I ask the simple yet very deep, complicated question: is your mental health being impacted by focusing on losing weight? If the answer is yes, I want to invite you into this space, into the Intuitive Health Reboot. It's not too late to join us. Well, I always say it's never too late. We run 3 times a year, but it's literally never too late. Like if you're listening to this and, it's not September 5th of 2023, you can still apply. There's still space for you. There's still another group. You can get started with the intuitive eating one bite at a time course that I have. And as soon as group is ready, like you're in there. So I just want to encourage you, it's never too late. But if you want to get in this fall, if you want to join us, if you want to have everything I've been sharing about removing food stress, about having the brain space back, improving your emotional well-being, this is the time. I love what happens in Intuitive Health Reboot with the clients when they all of a sudden are like, wait a minute, something's changed. Something's different. I feel different. I notice things. Like they're noticing the impact it has on their daily life, right? Just the normal day-to-day. If they have families, they're noticing a shift there. If it's work related, like I feel different, something's different. And of course, we know what it is, but to see it in action every time, it still brings tears to my eyes. It still gets me excited. It still gives me hope that we are shifting generations to come. Don't hesitate to head into the show notes. Like literally, scroll right there wherever you're listening and click apply for the Intuitive Health Reboot. It will be me. I don't have anyone else doing this. It is me. I will be connecting with you. You have a couple of options, whether it's email or you want to DM and Instagram and connect that way. I will be the one connecting with you. I want to make sure this is the best fit. I want to be able to help you see how much brain space you get back, how much better you feel within yourself when you make these shifts and changes. All right. Now, I also don't want to forget, I know you're probably already in the show notes. If you haven't already clicked, the group coaching, start here, you've applied, you're doing all the things, but I really don't want to miss out on just reminding you that next week I have an amazing announcement coming, because next week is episode 200. It's the beginning of season 5. It is episode 200. I am unbelievably just honored that you're here, unbelievably excited for what's coming, just overwhelmed with emotion, literally trying to keep it together as I'm recording this. I cannot wait to share the giveaway next week. And even more so, I can't wait to welcome you into the Intuitive Health Reboot this fall and support you, because this holiday season can be different. You're not even going to be listening to those messages of, the diet starts in January, all the, garbage from diet culture that's coming our way. You're like, I have an automatic mute button. I can't wait. That gets me fired up. All right. I'm excited to join you again next week, right here on the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast for season 5, episode 200. For now, let's hop into the Intuitive Health Reboot, heal your relationship with food, remove food guilt, and give you back your brain space.